What's going on? Kevin Holt here with Ball Her Hoops. Back at you again with another episode. This time updating the Fire 15. A lot of big games happening over the week. Some MLK games. A lot of good games were canceled with this rain that we got. I think Friday, probably people shouldn't have canceled the games, but Tuesday I think they had reason. I think it was a really bad storm, flooding everywhere. Winds were kind of crazy. But overall, hopefully they get all those games back in. I know some people played that Wednesday and some people scheduled it for later in the season. But either way, basketball still goes on. Going to start with the Fire 15. Then I got a different thing that we're trying this year. And it should be fun, but just stay tuned for that one. But starting at 15, we're going to go with Providence Day. Providence Day got a big win over reigning 4A state champions, Raven Gap. Jada McClure was big in that one. Also the big Ellie, or L, I can't remember her name, but she was also really good in that one. Probably the best game I've seen her play. She was controlling the boards, finish around the rim, which is what they need her to do. I mean, Jada finds the pockets for them. Sophie does her job and Olivia does her job. I think they're a really good team, and beating the defending 4A state champions was big, especially because it's on a neutral court in front of that crowd. A lot of people may not have been there, but that crowd was kind of crazy. If you ever been to United Faith, it's a one-side gym, so you got teams waiting on games, parents from other teams there, and it was just a really good game. I want to shout out to RJ for a great event. I think that was one of his better events that I've seen, and I've been to a lot of his events, so shout out to him. But Providence Day makes their way back onto the list. 14, I have North Mecklenburg. North Meck has been a dominant team so far. Probably could be higher on this list, but only time would tell. Lanice Joseph has been one of the better players in the area this year as a freshman. I think they're going to continue to be good. Of course, they're looking forward to that matchup with Mallard Creek again. If I'm not mistaken, it might be at North Meck this time. I think they played at Mallard Creek the first time. So that'll be a good game. 13, Concord Academy. They continue their run. I mean, Justice Alexander's been dominant. Janiyah Bird is a really good senior for them. She's been solid. Solid point guard play is always needed wherever you're at. And they have multiple point guards with her and Taylor. I think they're just a really good team. Sam is always knocking down shots for them. And then Aaliyah is really good as well, controlling the boards. I think depth is going to be key for them. They're going to have to continue to grow those bench players. And I think with time it comes, I mean, you got to get comfortable in your role. I think that's a major part of any basketball team. But got them at 13. Alexander Central moved down to 12 with their first loss to, I think they lost to Ashe County. So they moved down to 12. Hickory Ridge is at 11. They're still looking forward to that matchup with Lake Norman. Got canceled. I think a lot of people were a little upset about that one, but of course it'll be come back to another date, rescheduled. 10, Watauga. Watauga continues to win. Their losses aren't bad losses. If you look at their schedule, they lost to Cannon early, and then they lost some games at the John Wall, but other than that, they've been winning. They continue to be a good team. Number 9, AC Reynolds. They have a good young group. If you've ever seen them play, they have a really good young group. And they're going to be a team that, for a playoffs, they may upset some people. So I wouldn't be surprised. At 8, Cannon, all their losses have been to teams outside of North Carolina other than Grace Christian, who's a top 25 team in ESPN. But they still got to find ways to win this conference. I think big matchup with PD coming up Friday. That'll be huge. Number 7, Independence. They're really good. Independence is finding their stride. Of course, in conference, I think it's between them and Charlotte Catholic. So they're looking forward to that matchup at the end of the month. And we'll see how it goes. I mean, as long as Cam Kitchen is doing her job, I think they are fine in any game. At 6 is Mallard Creek. One loss in the John Wall, if I'm not mistaken. But they're found their stride. I think they're going to go undefeated in conference and probably win the conference tournament. Then that should give them a high seed come playoff time. I don't know if they'll be like somebody's going to have to come to them to get through to the playoffs. It'll be between them, Catholic and Lake Norman, Myers Park as well. I don't know how the seeding will go because they do use strength of schedule. So you might see some teams pushed up a bunch rather than others. Number 5, East Burke. Right now, I think they're a good chance to win the 2A state championship. I know Salisbury been the dominant team so far in previous years, but this year I think East Burke has a team. I look at them and East Rutherford. I think both of those teams have solid teams to make a statement towards the 2A West division. At 4, West Rowan continuing their dominance, only lost to Lake Norman. Big game with Northwest Cabarrus coming up. And I think they also play J.M. Robinson, so those both are good games for them. Let's see how they do. I think they'll be good because I don't think J.M. Robinson will have Ella Hobbs, so we'll see. Number 3, Charlotte Catholic. 2 losses, if I'm not mistaken. Lost this past week to the 3SSA team out of Virginia. Not a bad loss at all, no matter how much you lose by, because that team is just really good, super athletic. They're also looking forward to that matchup with Independence. Number 2, Lake Norman. I think some of the parents are a little mad because they didn't get to play this week. I know the players are probably even more mad. Shout out to Samantha for her first Division I offer from USC Upstate. That is huge. Myers Park. Shout out to Myers Park. They're still undefeated. Big win over East Rutherford in a close game. I think they're still a good team. I think they have a matchup with South Meck, if I'm not mistaken. That'll be good for them because South Meck's going to, even if they're not as talented as, South Meck's not as talented as Myers Park, I think South Meck still game plans well. So they'll throw some things at them that'll kind of either speed them up or slow them down. I think Coach Clark will figure out a game plan to try to make sure it's a good game. That'll be a good one. So that's our Fire 15 for the week. So now, Twitter, we were talking about the how it's so many good teams. I watched the Observer's show, and this is nothing against the Observer because they have the right to feel the way they feel. Everybody's entitled to their own opinion, but I really think basketball has a lot of good teams. I think that even when doing the Fire 15, we struggle with who should be on, who should be off, because I can tell you it's at least 25 teams, maybe more, that have an argument that they should be on the top 15. And realistically, how can you say it's bad basketball or that the blowouts are the problem? I mean, you're going to have really good teams and you have some bad teams, but this year I think we have more good than bad. And I decided to do top 32 teams. And this is what we're going to do with this is actually have it in bracket style. So we'll do 1 versus 32, 2 versus 31, things like that, all the way down. And it's not going to be a real play tournament. It'll be more so polls. We'll put a poll up every day. We'll do 4 teams or 4 games. So this is just imagination, like what ifs would happen. And this is the top 32 teams that I came on. I use Max Preps a lot. And then I did some comparison as far as like schedule and which team beat what team. So bear with me as I go through this. So the first matchup, 1 versus 32, you're looking at Myers Park versus Garinger. Garinger got in. It was between Garinger, South Meck, West Cabarrus. And the reason Garinger got in is because Garinger beat Cox Mill. Cox Mill beat West Cabarrus. West Cabarrus beat South Meck. So when I added those up, I gave Garinger the nod because they beat Cox Mill and Cox Mill beat West Cabarrus. Similar records. Actually, Garinger actually has a better record than the other two. So Garinger got in on that one. So we will vote on a poll. Who would you think will win between Myers Park and Garinger? 16 versus 17. 101 Prep. They were my 16 team. they were right on the cusp of making it on the Fire Fit team. I think they have a solid team and they're really good. They will go against East Lincoln, another good team. Only have one loss, but their wins aren't to, and this is not just my opinion, it's Max Prep as well. They don't have the quality of wins, so that's why they end up at 17. So they would play against each other. 9 versus 24, AC Reynolds versus Porter Ridge. Really good game. Like I said, AC Reynolds has the young guards. They have a lot of good kids on that team. But they go against Porter Ridge, and I think Porter Ridge has a equally talented team with some really good kids on it, and they got good size. So that would be a really good game. 8 versus 24, East Rutherford versus Cannon. Cannon will be the 8. 8 versus 25, I apologize. East Rutherford 25. Another good game. Two teams play each other in the summer. Cannon won that game. 4, West Rowan versus 29 Salisbury. A rematch. They play each other in the Christmas tournament that always happened in the Rowan County area. West Rowan won that game a good amount, but never know the second time around how they will play, what matchups will change if they run zone, things like that. So that will also be a good matchup. 13 versus 20. I really like this matchup. 13 Concord Academy, 20 versus Ardukel. Ardukel could pull an upset off in that one because I think those two teams evenly matched. Concord Academy's been on the road though. I think they're playing with a different type of confidence, and they need that because going into state playoffs, they're defending state champions. If I'm not mistaken, Grace Christian made the bump up, so I feel for any team that has to play them. Grace Christian is a really solid team. But Ardukel's been good, solid. Of course, Autumn is doing good. Molly is also good. And they have a lot of good role players on that team as well. So 12 versus 21. Alexander Central will be 12. 21 will be Albemarle. Alexander Central was undefeated previously, lost to Ashe County. Albemarle has one loss to North Rowan. As I said, Albemarle's been dominant lately, beat a good Union Academy team recently in a game where I've heard that it was a lot of foul calls going one way, but I mean, at the end of the day, you play against the refs, you have to do what you have to do. Number 5, East Burke versus number 28, Union Academy. Number 5, East Burke has been undefeated, if I'm not mistaken. Union Academy has 2 losses, one to Porter Ridge and one to Albemarle. So they're still a solid team. They'll be, I think they'll be a factor in the 1A state playoffs. Then we go to number 2, Lake Norman versus North Rowan. North Rowan, as I said before, really good. The Goodlet's sister, Brittany Ellis, has been phenomenal this year. But Lake Norman is Lake Norman. They have the talent. They have the pedigree. I think they're a really good, solid squad. Their number 2 team, North Rowan, will be 31. Number 15, Providence Day versus 18, J.M. Robinson. J.M. Robinson is still a good team. Cameron Hobbs has been really good, especially since Elle's been out. She's up to scoring. I think she's around, just during that time, around 24, 25 points per game. But Providence Day plays a different type of basketball to where they're going to try to minimize what you're good at. And Coach Josh Springer does a really good job. And, of course, having Jada McClure on the offensive end, I don't think teams run zone versus her. If you run zone versus her, she eats you alive. She's very smart. One of the higher basketball IQs that I've seen in the Charlotte area just because of the way she plays. But that would be a really good game. Number 10, Watauga versus 23, Butler. Another good game. I think Butler muddies it up. Brooklyn Saunders does a really good job with that team. She has to be a first team conference for me. I know that's a stretch because you still got the Indy girls and the Catholic girls, but you could put 2 each from that team. And I think Brooklyn would be the 3rd. And that's just my opinion. I mean, between her and Misa Garris. But that's just my opinion. I don't get the votes for that, but Brooklyn Saunders has been really good. Kate Sears for Watauga, Charlotte Torgerson, Shanky. I might have said that name wrong, so please excuse me, but she's a dead-eye shooter. That would be a good game. I think it's a contrast in styles of play, so it will be good. Number 7, Independence versus 26 Northwest. I think that's also a good game. I think you look at the size of Northwest Bears and how they play physical inside. I think they're one of the bigger teams, but you look at Independence, the guards, I think kind of overpowered Northwest Bears, but it would still be a good game. Number 3, Charlotte Catholic versus number 30, North Lincoln would also be intriguing matchup. I think Catholic would win it, but I think it'll still be an intriguing matchup. Then you got 14, North Mecklenburg versus Marvin Ridge, 19. Another good game. I think Marvin Ridge is a solid team. I think they haven't found their stride, honestly. I think last year they were really good, and even during the summer they had a really solid chance to be good. And I think they've slowed down a little bit. And I mean, of course, kids transfer and, things happen. But I think that will be a really good game. Marvin Ridge went back down to North Meck, and it'll be a good matchup. 11, Hickory Ridge versus 22, Charlotte Country Day. Charlotte Country Day is a really good team. They're coached well, and they play hard. Their guards are good, and their bigs are really solid. They are able to do multiple things, and they defend well. They definitely defend the basket. They block a lot of shots. They rebound well. So I think that would be a good game because, I mean, with Hickory Ridge, you look at the guards with Michaela and Amaya, and then you got Cherie Gidney. I think they match up well. I think it'll be a good game. And then the last game would be 6, Mallet Creek versus Victory Christian. And I don't think this is an easy game. Victory Christian is 6. Victory Christian will be number 27, but they're a really solid team. They have leaderships. They have D1 players. Deb, she's going to UNC Asheville. And you look at Mallet Creek, they have Lily Booker, who's going to Longwood. So they match up. And the guards for Victory Christian are, I'm not going to say as good, but they're good. So that will be a good game. So, like I said, this will be the bracket. I will put out the polls on Twitter and Instagram. You would vote. So the voting will be 5 people. It would be, well, not 5 people, 5 entities. So one would be the Twitter and Instagram polls combined. The amount of votes one team gets with whoever gets the most, they would get a percentage, like 20%. Myself, Coach Diggs, Coach Gibson, we will all have our 20%, and then we will do media members a vote for 20%. And that's how it will go. So then whoever gets those votes, that team moves on. And we'll do it all the way up to I think it'll come almost to the playoffs. So it'll be weekly. The advancements will be round by round. And we'll put out 4 games starting tomorrow, Tuesday, and then go from there. But I appreciate everyone. We have games of the week as well. I think that will come out soon. But I can tell you, Northwest Bears versus West Rowan will be one of them. Providence Day versus Victory Christian is another one. I think that's going to be a good game. I can't remember all of them off the top of my head, and it's on my phone. So, but I appreciate everyone tuning in. Please remember to like, comment, subscribe. If you want to see something else, I know a couple people would like the lives. We do the lives every Wednesday around 8 p.m. So if you want to tune into the live at 8 p.m., please do so. But other than that, we're out. Ball Her Hoops, Kevin Hope here.